Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I better not say you're not a man.
That's it.
Hey, a bit of a dramatic open here, episode 115, and we talk about baseball being family. We truly have a family on board, all four squares. We almost have the Brady Bunch squares filled up tonight. Chris Almendarez and his two fine American sons, that being Chase and Luke. Guys, this is long overdue. I've thought about this since we started this. Man, thank you guys for making time to sit in the man cave with me, so to speak.
Well, thanks for having us, Sean. I mean, this is a pretty neat thing. I know we've done some interviews before as a family, but to come on years one, the relationship we have with you back in your news days, and then just staying in touch with you. And I appreciate you thinking of us and bringing us on.
100%. And just real quick, this episode sponsored by Kevin Hutchison. You saw him at the beginning, Realty Austin, guys, and an Austin OG. Knows a little bit about the city, and now he's expanded he'll establish his real estate prowess, if you will, in the San Antonio and Austin area. And first and foremost, I got to so everybody, if you're watching from across the country, Chris Almendarez, the patriarch here, started all this when he played for the University of Houston, and then his two sons, Chase and Luke. Luke, still a member of he's continuing the legacy at the University of Houston. And now Chase, it happened really quick, and because of his knowledge, it had nothing to do with his father, but it's just the Almendarez family. He is now a college baseball coach at a university, a HBCU here in Austin called Huston-Tillotson, and much congrats on that, my friend. We'll get to that shortly, but I guess where we should start for you guys, growing up in Round Rock, how much of your lives were spent together at the Dell Diamond, which is the home of the Round Rock Express?
A lot of our time was growing up there. Obviously, my dad went to work there in 2010, and he ran the baseball camps, and I was able to participate in those and help coach. And Luke was participating in those at a young age. And to grow up around there and be a bat boy and bullpen catch really helped my knowledge and gave me understanding about the game of baseball, obviously what it means to me, and how to play it the right way. But going to the stadium every day was a huge blessing, and then having the opportunity to work there right out of college, it helped me, network and meet a lot of cool people within the baseball world. And like I said, it just being around the game 24/7, it helped my knowledge and gave me an understanding of the game, which I'm very appreciative for.
Chris or Luke?
Look, I'll jump in real quick and kind of say, one of the things, and Sean, you're in pharmaceuticals now, and that was my prior life, the industry that I started in, right. What brought us to Austin. But we moved here in 2000 when Dell Diamond was built. I was actually a season ticket holder and did a lot of events, did some doctor programs at the United Heritage Center. But, got a chance. I knew Reed Ryan, but in 2006, Luke and Jackson Ryan started playing together, and Reed and I coached together. And then, when you start coaching and spend a lot of time, you get to know those families. And Nicole Ryan, his wife, and my late wife, Jana Almendarez, they became friends, and we spent a lot of time together. And the pharmaceutical industry, when there was some moves and some changes, one day, we were getting bought out, and I just had an opportunity to talk to Reed, and he's like, man, it's time you come work for us. everybody in town. And, for me, knowing Reed and Reese and hearing the stories of their kids growing up at the Astrodome, I felt we had a similar opportunity with our boys. And while Dell Diamond's not the Houston Astrodome, it's a pretty cool place for our kids to be involved. And one thing Jan and I always talked about is no matter what our kids were into, we just wanted them to be involved. And, back then we saw that kids that were involved in whether it's sports or band or some extracurricular activities just were better off. And look, the game of baseball to me is a great game that teaches you the game of failure, a lot of ups and downs. And so for me, baseball's been an unbelievable vehicle for me. And look, dream come true to have two great sons that are just great character kids and solid citizens is awesome. But more importantly, they went to Round Rock High School. They played for Johnny Carter. They grew up at Dell Diamond. They had a great network of folks. And so here they are, man, 2 college baseball scholarship kids that earned their way through college. And we couldn't be prouder of them.
Kind of backpacking off what my dad said, it was a blessing. All my summers were spent at the field. There was no excuse to not get better. I had guys who would reach out and, hey, man, let's go get some infield work today. And so I'd literally show up to the field, and it was like I was one of the guys. I'd stretch with them. We'd go through infield. I got the chance to hit with them. And then after that, I'd go and bat boy. So it was, looking back at it, during the time, it was just super fun. But now looking back at it, I was more appreciative of the setting I am now and realizing, man, I got to see at a young age what it was like to be a minor league guy and what it was like to go day in and day out of, a true baseball player, professional.
No, it's pretty amazing. I've watched you guys. I've had the privilege of watching you guys grow up and, met Chris when I'd heard about you guys when I was in Oklahoma City, the Almendarez, and obviously the Ryans. And for those who just want a visual, I'm a visual guy. We live in the world of social media. I'm going to pull this up. I like to call this an Almendarez collage, if you will. That right there, the boys and Chris, and then Jana, your late mom and late wife. And then the one on the right, that's the picture that just resonates with me. The 2 brothers hugging it out. I think it's in front of the pitcher's mound. I think, and my eyes haven't gone bad yet. But when you guys see these photos, and we're going to have a lot of fun in this episode, but I just want to give everybody an opportunity who's watching or listening to really see how close-knit this family was, and will forever be, and how it's revolved around baseball. I don't know which of you would want to speak about what you see in front of us.
We'll let Chase go and kind of stare it from his side, and then let Luke. And if they miss anything, I'll jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, no, man, those are awesome pictures. Thank you for pulling those up. Obviously, the picture in the middle hits home. Mom was a huge influence for not only myself but Luke and my dad, and really molded us to the men we are today. And get to every day wake up. It's how can I represent my mom and give off her giving spirit and just represent her in the right way. But she definitely did teach us how to act and how to play the right way and do things to represent yourself well. And the other 2 pictures, obviously, those are fun ones. The one on the right, I actually got to throw a first pitch out at the Austin area baseball coaches all-star game. That was Luke's senior year, right after he graduated. And to have him there and to throw that first pitch and have him catch it was a pretty special moment, especially with it being at Dell Diamond. And then the picture on the left, man, that was one of the best times of my life, coaching the Round Rock Harrymen. Obviously, Luke was a player, but it was an unreal team, unreal experience, and very blessed to be a part of that.
Yeah, 100% agree with Chase. Looking at that picture of me and my dad and Chase playing for the Harrymen, it's always an honor to throw in a jersey, and especially when it has meaning like that, playing for your hometown. We had guys, Jared McKenzie, Ethan Ruiz, a lot of hometown guys that were able to play, especially with that funky summer and that spring with not being able to play my freshman year. So getting together and getting a great group of guys to play was a blessing in itself. And then even better to have my brother as the head coach. He's coach on the field, but off the field, he's a brother, and that goes to show in that picture on the right. It's full circle. We used to bicker at each other, playing in the front yard, playing little football, and now you can see us hugging it out on the baseball field. And I think that's kind of going to that third picture. Through everything the adversities through my mom in that battle. I think the one thing that really brought us together was being able to go to the field and kind of have baseball as an outlet to keep my dad, Chase, and myself sane through that time. And it was something that, baseball will never leave us, regardless if we're playing or not. It's something that's always going to be there. And I think that's why all three of us are still surrounded by the game today.
Look, I'll kind of circle back and say, look, Sean, I know you follow me on social media and things. A lot of times I put the scripture out there, Romans 8:28. And for folks that don't know what that means, it just says, and we know in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. And so when I see those pictures, that picture in the middle was actually Luke's 14th birthday, and we were up in the owner's suite. And just before that picture, Josh Hamilton was doing a rehab at Dell Diamond, and Luke had saw him during batting practice. Luke had some of his buddies up there, and Josh saw him and said, hey, before the game, come back to the clubhouse. I got something. And Josh signed a baseball bat and personalized it to Luke. And, we took that picture, and a month later, Jana would get diagnosed, and we would jump in fighting mode and watch her fight, and the Team Jana movement took off. But the picture to the right, one, of course, means a lot to what Chase said. The other thing is look, I'm fortunate that both my boys played at Round Rock High School and both got to finish their careers at Dell Diamond, their high school careers at Dell Diamond. Luke's one of the area kids that not only played his last high school game at Dell Diamond, but played his first collegiate game at Dell Diamond, the Round Rock Classic a year later. So pretty cool when I see those pictures. And then the picture on the left for me, that was, look, with the COVID lockdown and the things that we were trying to scramble, we had, we laid off 40% of our staff, and we were just trying to figure out what can we do to spark joy through the game of baseball. And we decided to run with this collegiate league team. And, we had Chase on staff, and we knew he could be the manager, and Luke and his buddies, and just recruited some local kids. But the other thing that's neat about that day, that was actually, what day was it? Was it July 2nd that we started that game?
I think it was.
And that game, that's the day my father had passed away. I think it was 24 years to that date. And so on a day years ago, that was a tough day for me, to come back and to fight through the adversity that we'd been through and to start that game. And, that day I knew, look, the game of baseball, what it meant to me and meant to in my life and the people it's connected me to. And now this legacy and this thing has continued to grow through both my boys and the network of people we've been able to meet. So it's very blessing, and I appreciate you pulling those pictures and letting us share those and share our story.
No, you're welcome. It's definitely a significant part of each of your stories. And for those, just to people wondering, okay, what happened? Jana, Chris's late wife and the boy's mom, amazing, beautiful person inside out. Had a long bout with, I believe, brain cancer, and a long bout with, and she fought. And I think that throughout all that, if you go back to social media, I don't know if there's an easy way to search back to it. I think that inspired more people than you guys are really understand her strength, and I think though, and it really brought to my attention for the first time in my life. I'm not exaggerating how strong that term baseball family really is and what it truly meant. And that was one of the first times for me.
No, Sean, Clint, I appreciate you saying that. And look, it goes back to the people that we meet and we come across every single day. And, one of Jana's mottos was love God, love others. And if you think about it in that sense, life's pretty easy when you love God, number one, and you love other people and you just love on people. But the thing is, we were, one of the things, me being at the time, I was a general manager of the Round Rock Express, and being, we kind of had our life in the public with the Round Rock Express, but then behind the scenes is she was a very private person, and she got diagnosed. And the thing when she went in to do the brain biopsy, Reed Ryan actually shot me a text and said, hey man, I really believe in the power of prayer. I want to get this out on social media. What do you think? And I said, Reed, I need to visit with Jana and see what she wants to do. And she said, absolutely. The thing that we want to show people is that we're all going to go through adversity in our life, and it's how you deal with it. And so he shot out that first tweet, praying for my good friend Jana Almendarez as she has this brain tumor and they're going in to see what's going on. Keep her in your prayers. And then my cousin, David Almendarez in Houston, quote tweeted, but just said, go #Team Jana. And it just took off. It was pretty amazing. And look, a lot of folks jumped on board. Laura Fergoso and with our senior vice president of marketing at the Express. I mean, she did amazing stuff with it, and the Texas Rangers got on board, the Houston Astros, and all of baseball. And you're right, it did inspire some people. And look, the hope there was we just wanted people to pray, but we also wanted to show people you're going to go through life and things are going to happen, and it's how you react. And one of the things that we told both the boys is we're not going to be victims. And as tough as it went through, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. She fought 11 months and ended up passing on Luke's birthday. And that's a day that we're always going to remember, and it's tied to that. But look, these kids lived through them. Luke shot up our family text the other day, and my mother-in-law, Nani, what the boys call her, has been a perfect person to for the boys, and has been there for me. And I couldn't have done what I've gone through without her. I recently got engaged to Lindsay Vogel, and Lindsay's a mental therapist, and the support that she's given me and the support the boys love on her, and she loves the boys. Life goes on, and you're never going to move on, but we're going to move forward. And Jana lives in these boys. I see her eyes in Luke every time I see him. I see her, the way Chase carries himself in her. And we laugh, the guys, we tell stories and some of the things when I was coaching these guys younger on how, this game of baseball got to me and how she would threaten me if I was mean to the boys and some of the words I might have used. So, nothing much.
Hey, man, that's a good segue. One thing I wanted to know, I wasn't around when you were, I wasn't around those moments when you were coaching the boys here. So that leads me to this part, and this is strictly for Luke and Chase. What was it like? Come on, we got to tell some stories here. Playing for Coach Chris, and were you able to call him Coach Chris, opposed to Dad?
He's Coach Chris, man, and one thing I'll tell you is he definitely taught me how to have some post-game meetings with my team, and colorful language to use and how to get the message across. But he definitely drilled into us attitude and effort. And so those are two things both Luke and myself get to carry around every single day, and it's ultimately two things you can control, right? Every day you wake up, you can have a good attitude, you can have a bad. You can give up full effort, or you're not giving any effort at all. And so to grow up with that and be able to share that with the teams I've coached and the players I've been around, it was definitely a great way to, carry myself and also show others how we play the game of baseball, right? We can always control our attitude no matter the circumstance, and there's no excuse for not giving effort. And so to have that growing up was huge, and he definitely drilled that into us and the teams we played for.
Yeah. Attitude and effort is a big thing, and transitioning into the position I'm in now, like not playing, that's still attitude and effort. It still concentrates into daily life and going amongst how you live and how you treat others. It's vital to living as a human being. But switching it over to playing for Coach Chris, I can say that this is actually kind of funny. So I'd be playing shortstop. Had to be at least 12, and it was always bases loaded, and he'd walk out to the mound and he'd take the ball from whoever's pitching, and it'd be 2 outs with bases loaded, and he'd be like, all right, get us out of this. I was like, wait, what? I was like, I haven't thrown. He's like, just do it. And so I'd get up there and I would do it. And looking back at it, it was so much pressure, but I'm glad he put me in that position, because outside of baseball, it's helped me deal with pressures that come in life. So those things I was learning as a kid, that my dad kind of put me through, yeah, they sucked and they may seem harsh, but in the end, it all paid off. And I think that's where that tough love comes in, especially from a coach. And luckily, he was my dad, so it was hard to understand as a younger kid. But now looking back at it, it's tough love for sure, and I'm so appreciative of it.
Clint, I'll jump in and just finish this thing up. I was very fortunate to have some great coaches in my life, and I played for Coach Brian Roper at Howard Junior College, and Coach Rope, one of the things he used to teach us was, if you take care of the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. And so that's always stuck with me, not only in baseball and coaching these guys, but even in life and in my job. And, if you think about it, if you take care of the little things, eventually the big things are going to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing we always preach to the kids. And maybe there was an F-bomb or a chair thrown or a ball bucket thrown, or I like to call them Bobby Knight moments. I would take them down the line and enlighten them a little bit. But the other thing was, to Chase's point, is the thing I really graded those kids on was attitude and effort. Like they said, that's the only two things you can control on the baseball field. And so it's the attitude you had and the effort you got. And look, for both of these guys, they had $1 million facilities in their backyard working at Dell Diamond. We would go on Sunday nights and, hit the batting cages. And I would never make them do it, but I would never tell them no if they asked me to take them up there. And so, look, growing up and being able to have that in our backyard and coaching them was probably the highlight, one of the biggest highlights of my life. And I never really wanted to be a coach at the collegiate level or high school coach. Even though the coaches of my life, my parents divorced when I was very young, and my dad never coached me. And the one thing that I really wanted to do is I wanted to work in a job that I could, if I had boys, I wanted to coach them and be around as much as I could and teach them this great game of baseball. And so doing that, look, as I'm transitioning out and they're not playing, this is, Luke's hurt and is helping, U of H there. And of course, Chase is coaching. It's the first time in 20 years that I'm not chasing kids down watching baseball games. It's been an adjustment, but it's a good break to just get there. And I'll get to the games I can. I'm gonna try to get some of Luke's games and watch Chase's games. But at the end of the day, the game of baseball, has been an unbelievable vehicle for our family, and a lot of our time together has been on the baseball field. And so there's a lot of fond memories, and they could tell you a lot of other funny stories of things I did. But some of those might be R-rated or something. So
but you know what? In a good way, it wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't expect anything different. I would hope you would have had those moments. So one thing that I remember, I didn't get to see it, but so the stage for Chase to reach being the head baseball coach at Huston-Tillotson, you got to manage the Round Rock Harrymen summer baseball team during the COVID summer, which I was at a loss because I thought maybe, oh my God, we're not going to have baseball, but Round Rock found a way to do it, the Express staff. I want to hear your version of the time that you were ejected. What happened? I mean, that was I saw video. I don't remember it, but I remember you had something you had to stand up for, and you weren't pleased with the umpire.
That's correct, Sean. And later I'll go into a story where, I saw Coach Chris get ejected, and that kind of, paved my way and taught me the proper way to do it.
I only got ejected one time in my life, and that was because I was.
Hey, I've only got ejected once too. So, but yes, it was. I'll never forget. It was bottom of the eighth, top of the ninth. Back and forth game. Ended up tying it the inning prior, but runner on first. Next guy up gets plunked, gets hit in the elbow. I think the batter reaches out and intentionally takes it. Umpire says no, take your base, go to first. And so I come out pretty hot and just let him know what I was thinking. And it was an ultimately good moment. Fired the team up. We got the win. So I'll leave it at that. But it was
there was a little history. The umpire made a comment a couple of games before at the players' coaches meeting, so that might have had a little something to do with it because I'd had a conversation with the guy too, and so that kind of might have had a little bit of a bias before the game started. So.
Look, did you witness any of this?
I remember we met collectively behind the pitcher's mound and just watched Chase go into this umpire. And I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of shaking my head, and all the players around me are like, why are you doing that? And I was like, dude, I feel bad for the umpire. I was like, I've been in that position before, so I know what he's getting right now.
Sean, in full disclosure and transparency, 2 games or 3 games before that umpire, the very first game, at the plate meeting, Chase walks up and the other coach walks up and they're introducing themselves. And the umpire, not knowing who Chase was, says, hey, yeah, man, the only reason I heard that the Round Rock Express were hosting this team is because the president of the team's son is the shortstop. And so when Chase introduced his name, he said, yeah, I'm Chase Almendarez. I'm the president's son as well. And so kind of, open mouth, insert foot. And so that kind of got him off to a start. So, yeah.
That is hilarious. That I don't know why I don't know the whole sequence of it, but that explains it all. And, we're talking about Chase, but I also want to ask Luke, if I can pull this picture up, I want to show everybody this. This thing is moving slowly. I think I can run a 40 faster than these pictures are pulling up here. Okay, this is Chase. No, that's not Chase. Yes, it is. There we go. So, Luke, I've got to ask you, Luke, have you ever given thought, possibly, you know, I know that when you rehab, have you ever thought about playing for your brother to finish out?
You know, I've been asked this question a lot, and I think my time of playing it's gone. But you know, I love playing for Chase, and bias, and I love my dad, and I appreciate playing.
He's like Tom Brady.
But being able to play for Chase was something that, you know, it makes me so appreciative as a player. Right. But I think what's even better is to hear from other guys that I'm still currently with and that I've played with, to say that your brother is one of the best coaches I've ever had. It attests to just Chase's how he carries himself and his knowledge of the game. But he's able to relate to the guys that he was with, and especially with that Harriman team. He kind of lit into some dudes, but it was at the right time, and I think he handles himself very professionally and very well. And it's someone at the end of the day you want to play for, right? As a leader, if I'm going to go to war with someone and Chase is my leader, like, that's someone who I want to go to war with. And Chase has a very good presence of that. So to go back to your question of playing again, you know, I don't think that's going to happen, but, you know, in a different life, I would play for Chase any day.
All day. Luke is wise beyond his years. It's obviously having grown up in the Almendarez family. Chase, obviously your first season as the head coach at Huston-Tillotson. I believe the game 2 was the second game of the season was the first win, correct?
Game 3.
Game 3.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And I saw he tweeted out that was for you, Mom.
It was. So it was a special day. It was actually her birthday. And so, you know, to get the first win on that day, it was a very special moment. I got pretty emotional after the game. You know, just it's crazy how everything, you know, works out and how God works. And, you know, for me to get my first collegiate win on that day was huge. And, you know, definitely kept her in the back of my mind, you know, that entire day. And it was a special moment for sure.
Yeah, I had to eventually, I thought I was going to be out there, and I apologize for that. But guys, you see this big box. This is where you guys are probably going to have some laughs. This is a new sponsor right here. You can't see it. MANSCAPED.com. All I'm going to say is I want to play this piece, and we can dish out all the puns, the humor, everything that goes along with manscaping. So to save us, I'm going to pull this up real quick. The new partnership with manscaped.com, and you're going to find out a way. There's a promo code, and through February 24th, get 20% off. And it's not just below the belt; it's for everything. You know, we got to look good. But here is the video as we make the transition to the tribute to manscaped.com. Yeah, we're covering about every topic imaginable here at Man Stories Inside the Man Cave, including manscaping. Manscaped.com is so popular that they have their own periodical, a newspaper, and their top headline, "We Save Balls," is pretty popular nowadays. And, you know, they really attracted me, so much so that I love the products, and they sent me this entire package I'm going to show you. Well, the premier products of this box I just showed you, the Performance Package 4.0, this bad boy, the Lawnmower 4.0. Take a listen. That is the sound of absolutely tremendous manscaping in the man cave. So today, as you're watching this episode, I encourage you to jump on to manscaped.com and look for the Performance Package 4.0. You'll get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It is smooth, and you just feel like a piece of silk afterwards, and you feel clean. Personally, let me show you what I love the most. Right here, the ball deodorant. I know the light's a little bright here, but the ball deodorant, it smells like sweet mahogany and pheromones.
Hey, the first question I have is, did you read the directions right? You shave your head, or what did you shave?
Well, the lawnmower 4.0, I read the direction. I was going this way, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. You've got to take care below the belt, because us men, we don't know, the special ladies of our lives, they don't want us to resemble the German Black Forest. So we got to take care of all that. But help me through this. I've got on this little read for them. Of course, support for Stories Inside the Man Cave is brought to you by MANSCAPED.com, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. And it's for your ears and nose as well. They offer precision engineered tools for your family jewels. This is great writing, by the way. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle. As I mentioned, you guys heard the Performance Package. So join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code, as you see, MANCAVE20. And if my math skills are still on point, that's about 8 million balls served. That's where we go. So jump on board, gentlemen. That's be a part of the manscaped.com fraternity. That it's I never thought I would be in talking about manscaping with the Almendarez boys, but this is real life right now, and I can't believe. But we made it through it to the best part of segment 1. That is the Man Cave story, sponsored by our guy, the Westlake OG, Longhorn Legacy himself, Jim Saxton, and State Farm Insurance Agency. I guess we could go around the horn, or if you guys collectively have one Man Cave story that you guys love telling about, maybe a moment that all 3 of you were involved. If there's one.
I'll let these 2 take it. They're the clowns of the family, man. Yeah, they're funny. They could talk, so I'll let them come up with a story.
Luke, you got to tell the treadmill story, I think.
All right, this is you fasten your seatbelt. So I was in middle school, right? I had my wrist. I sprained my wrist playing basketball, and we had this treadmill that was in the house. And once my dad gets in his mind on something, it's like it's getting done or it's not. And so I'm sitting there watching TV. I have this cast on. He's like, "Hey, man, we need to get this elliptical out." I laugh. I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like, what? He's like, "No, like I don't care. Like, come, like let's get it out." So I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So he gets it and he's backing up with it, walking backwards. And so I'm seeing him back up and I'm telling him which way to go, left, right. And Chase, come here, open the door. So Chase opens the door. And we get out the door, we make it out, but there's a little ledge like to get from the doorstep to the ground, and so I wasn't thinking about it, and so my dad's carrying it, and so when he steps off that ledge, the top of the elliptical hits him in the back of the head. He trips, he falls over the bush, and I drop the elliptical. I'm like, I'm done. I'm mad. I'm like, Chase, Mom, come outside. Y'all can come see this. And so neighbors are outside, and he's out there like rolling around as his head hurts, and I'm mad, and it was one of the most funny moments looking back at it, but man, was I furious. Oh,
I can envision all of this happening. That's what's the funny part about it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's Chris. Can you defend yourself with that incident?
Look, to his point, when I'm pretty determined. So when I want to get something done, I want to do it. Sometimes I'm impatient, and I'm like, hey, let's just get this thing out of there. And I didn't think about the ledge and the drop and the step, and then of course the bushes. And so I hit that thing and I fell, dude, and they just laughed at me.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And for more on this Man Cave story, if you're watching it with these guys, these characters, these are all, don't let them fool you. All of these guys are phenomenal characters. Follow us on Twitter at Stories Man Cave. And we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, we're going to get down to baseball, Nolan Ryan, and Joe Burrow. That's an interesting combination. And that is coming up on the other side of this break. For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the stories inside the Man Cave Boys recommended you. You know, from manscaping to Chris Almendarez falling off of the ledge with an elliptical rider. But great storytelling by Luke Almendarez, by the way. That was phenomenal. There needs no editing to be happening in this episode. As we wrap things up with segment 2, which is brought to you by Farmhouse Delivery, an ATX-based company, sources organic meats grown in Texas, or raised in Texas, and organic produce raised in Texas. Use the promo code MANCAVE for 20% off of your first order. One thing I want to play real quick, and I'm really excited about it because we haven't had South by Southwest here in town, I think, since before COVID.
Sure.
And I think you guys know what I'm alluding to. I'm excited about it. This is probably the quickest piece of video you'll ever see. All right, so you guys, what all do y'all know about that? Facing Nolan, the documentary will debut at South by Southwest. I can't remember which week, but it's amazing. I know there's been other stories or documentaries made on Nolan, but each of you are tied to the Ryan family, in particular Nolan. I mean, what do you guys know about this that could encourage others to go see this if they're in town in Austin at South by?
Well, I'll jump in, Sean, because look, we were privy with the relationship with Reed and Reese and Nolan to actually look at the rough cut. We actually got to see it over Christmas. It's absolutely amazing, but it really starts with his childhood and just tells the story of Nolan and the game of baseball and the things that he's gone through. And it goes through the different teams. He started with the New York Mets, and then, of course, going to California Angels, Houston Astros, and finishing with the Texas Rangers. And for a kid like me, growing up in Houston, I tried to always tell my boys, I was 7 years old when Nolan was traded, or when the Astros signed him. And a couple of things about that. He already had won a World Series with the New York Mets. He was traded to the California Angels, and of course the Astros signed him as a free agent in 1980. A couple of things. He won a World Series. He was the first $1 million baseball player. He signed a 4-year deal with the Houston Astros, and then of course he was the first pitcher to be clocked at over 100 miles per hour. But the coolest thing in the connection with Noah and I growing up in Houston was we share the same birthday. Both of our birthdays, January 31st. We also share it with Ernie Banks and Jackie Robbins. So wow. I'm excited to say I've had a birthday. I share a birthday with some amazing baseball players. But growing up in Houston, and Nolan was the Mike Trout, the Tom Brady of our time growing up. And so for a kid that just loved the game of baseball and emulated his high leg kick, to watch a story like that and to kind of see what he is, and look, to have a personal relationship with Nolan and his family, it was pretty amazing. And so, they filmed some of the scenes at Dell Diamond. A lot of times when they'll show old footage, but then they'll do kind of the artist rendition of just reenactment of certain things. And so there was a number of days we got to work with the producers, and I was very fortunate to help with the casting of some of the kids that played the extras and young Nolan and old Nolan. And so it's going to be exciting. It's coming out the week of March the 12th, I think. In that week, they're going to announce where it's going to be seen. But I'm excited to see it, and see the final version of it, and just share his story. And I think, to be a big Nolan Ryan fan, I think folks are going to get out there and see the true story of Nolan.
What do you guys, Chase and Luke, your experiences, and what, I don't know if you know much about this documentary, or if you guys saw it with your dad or anything, but what do you take away from your relationship with Nolan, what you know about him as a person and what he achieved in his career?
Yeah, man, the coolest thing, of course, growing up around the game of baseball, you get to know a lot of baseball players, and Nolan Ryan being from Texas, that was always the name, right? It's Nolan Ryan, and we never got to see him play, but just to hear the stories, but to see the footage, and, to acknowledge all the feats he accomplished throughout his career, it's unreal. It's unheard of. And then ultimately to work for him and to get to know him on a personal level. He's an amazing human being, and just very down to earth, very humble, and it's very motivating the way he carries himself. I actually had the opportunity to play for his one of his longtime teammates, Terry Poole, and to hear the stories TP would say, and just about the way Nolan would prepare and carry himself, and lead the team. It was very inspiring, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, for me, I say it's a little different. I think in this day and age, for me, it's who's the best player of all time, and I think my day and age, you'll hear Mike Trout. That's the name that's being thrown around. So it's always cool, picking my dad's mind of who's someone that you watched. When I played, I always try to emulate who I wanted to be like, whether it was Drew Robinson or Baez, or it goes down the line. It was my dad was always saying Nolan Ryan. So it's kind of cool to hear those those primetime players back in the day. And of course, every time me and Chase would play in these video games, you'd always want Nolan Ryan on your squad because he threw the hardest. Best breaking ball. He just had all the good stuff. Going back and with this documentary being posted, it's cool. It's something you can watch and kind of get a taste and sliver of what baseball was like back then and how it's transitioned in today's game.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that, making the transition to the next topic, it's especially for you guys, Chase and Luke, your dad and I talked about this. Major League Baseball, the health of it, the overall growth of it. I can speak for all of us that we want to see it to continue to grow and be marketed. But there's a possibility it may be delayed, but that's really not the big concern. What is it from your generation? What does baseball need to do or continue to do to make it more appealing to younger generations in America? Because I feel like there's a disconnect right now. I don't know if it's marketing, and because we want to see it flourish, continue like we have enjoyed it growing up, all of us.
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate when I worked with the Express to run all of the youth baseball camps there, and that was our main mission, man, is how can we promote the game of baseball in the right manner, and get the Central Texas youth engaged in baseball and want to play and want to come out to Dell Diamond and learn the game of baseball. And on a national level with Major League Baseball, that's it's tough, but they're doing good things. You look at RBI, and I know you're very tight with those guys, and the things they've accomplished here in Austin are awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that the trend with baseball, I think it's headed in the right direction. You have a lot of young players, like Luke mentioned. You have Tatis and Baez and those guys who are 20 years old, 20, 21, 22, and you got an influx of young talent. And so I think the way those guys are playing the game of baseball, I think a couple of years ago it came out, let the kids play. Yeah. And so you get that messaging out, and you look at the video games now with MLB The Show and the way people are tapped into baseball. I think it's headed the right way, but ultimately it's how can we grow and promote the game of baseball in a positive manner, and that's my mission still, even here at Huston-Tillotson, is how can we grow this thing and blow it out. So that's where we're at.
No, I respect that, because I think that's what we need to listen more. And I know I'm not a decision maker for baseball, but I think that needs to happen. Listen to people who are knowledgeable and intelligent from the generation you guys come from, in order for it to happen. And another thing, Luke, this is for you. What are your thoughts? Because I'm a little frustrated with this, the election process of the Hall of Fame. Do you think what needs to change? Because your dad and I earlier today, we were talking about all this and just frustrated people like Roger Clemens. I get it. If everyone's associated with something, and you can attach some form of negativity, but people like him deserve to be in the Hall. Period.
Yeah, especially his track record and credibility. Same with Barry Bonds. David Ortiz. You go down the line of the guys that were in and who didn't make it. But I mean, at the end of the day, kind of going off what Chase said, it's a game. You know, it's a game for these kids to go out there and play and have fun and, you know, kind of get away from whatever they're going on in their lives. Baseball can be an outlet, but at the end of the day, it's a game. You know, it's not life or death. You're gonna, you know, your life's gonna keep going on. Like today, I got to run on the field and play second base, and it was like, man, like this feels great. You know, there's nothing better than going to the ballpark and getting a hot dog and being able to truly sit down and watch. And I think a lot of times, like media nowadays, people are kind of attached to their phones. They kind of get tracked, or they kind of get carried away in their phones rather than being at the game and getting involved. And they're too worried about everything else that's going on. I think baseball is a good outlet for people to, you know, go catch a game and kind of forget about, you know, what's going on. So I think, like Chase said, baseball is going in the right direction. For my generation, it's kind of hard because everyone wants to speak their own mind. And it's good and bad at the same time because, you know, a lot of people can see it through social media of how people truly feel. But as far as baseball goes, and the current state that it's in, it's tough watching it. But, you know, high hopes for whatever comes next.
To relate to that, and I can't wait for you guys to hear your. You mentioned social media, and it's tied to the Super Bowl, which is this Sunday, the Bengals and Rams. So, Joe Burrow, he said this about social media. I can't wait to see all of your reactions to this.
Don't have a workout and go and post it on Instagram the next day, and then go and sit on your butt for 4 days, and everyone thinks you're working hard, but you're really not. You know, work in silence. Don't show everybody what you're doing. You know, let your game on Friday nights and Saturday nights and Sunday nights show all the hard work that you put in. Don't worry about, you know, all that social media stuff.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Yeah. You guys, I mean, it's not just young people, it's everybody. We're all doing this, and it's related to what Luke said. We're disconnected. I've been guilty of it. Chris, first, I mean, your thoughts on that. I mean, that's everybody posts.
No, here's the deal. I think social media can be used for a great thing, and I think for a lot of times people take it the wrong way. And look, one of the things in my job, I mean, there's some promotion about the game, and look at, you know, what we're trying to do is get people in to watch a baseball game. I know what the game of baseball did for me and my family, and for those two guys right there. And so there's a lot of positives, but you know, a lot of the behind the scenes work that both these guys put in, you know, we didn't talk about those things. You know, social media wasn't there. As I got to the public eye and being, you know, the president of the Round Rock Express, there are some things that people, you know, want to know. And what does the Round Rock Express president do, or some things. And there's some neat things that we get to do. But what they're not seeing is those early morning tarp pulls and the things behind the scenes that, you know, what really going on at Dell Diamond, and getting ready behind the scenes to get a baseball game going. And, you know, look, I think I'm proud of both of my boys on how they use their social media. And, you know, we got big into it when Jana was going through her fight, and it was a way to get some information out to people. Through that, you know, we were really never on Facebook. And after that, you know, there were folks that jumped on board and supported us. And we felt that we needed to let people know that we're okay and you get through this adversity. And so, you know, my Twitter account's really kind of the public account that I let people follow me. And we want to post, you know, things about Dell Diamond and Round Rock Express, and post things about the boys. And look, we're proud of them, but it's never a spot to say, hey, look at me, I'm this and that. It's a means to just get some information out there. You know, Instagram was originally, those guys taught me about it, and we were coaching Chase one summer, and a buddy of mine, Charles Abernathy's son, posted something, and we learned about, you know, how I'm like, well, you can post a picture and everybody else can see it. I was like, I remember going to a baseball game and learning about it, and all right, well, I'm going to follow you guys. And then, you know, Facebook's more just families and kind of, you know, more of a private deal that we get to share stories. But look, if it's using the right way, but to Joe's credit, what he said, he's spot on. You know, It's like, don't go post the picture of me riding the Peloton. And this is my first time I did it all week, you know?
Well, I love it. Sage advice. And I'm not going to lie. I've been at a baseball game and I'm looking at my phone, and I sometimes have to remind myself I need to be in the moment. I get to be here. I get to see it. So pertaining to Super Bowl 56, we'll go around the round table, so to speak. We'll start with Luke, then Chris, then Chase. Bengals, Rams, and keep in mind, if Joe Burrow wins, I mean, if the Bengals win, there's only two quarterbacks, who have won the national championship in college and the Super Bowl. They're both named Joe Namath and Joe Montana from the Jets and the 49ers. And if the Bengals win, that'll be a hat trick of Joes to achieve the same feat. Will there be a Joe? Will he be the third to accomplish that, you think, with Cincinnati winning this thing?
I'm pulling for Bengals all day. You know, I got it. Like you hit on the nail. I'm shooting for that. I want to see what Joe can do. It's cool watching a guy be able to go from college and be in the position that he's in to do it. So I mean, why not? You're in the position to go win a championship. So, you know, I'm rooting for him. That's my squad I got.
I'm going to jump in as well and say I got to go with the guy that looks like Macaulay Culkin. So, you know, what he's done this last year and his record and where the Bengals came from. I mean, it's a great story, and I think that's always the neat thing. And to see him win and to be in that group that you just talked about is amazing. And that's what sports does. If it's a baseball team or a football team, it's going to be exciting.
Man, I'll be different. I'm actually pulling for the Rams. Obviously the HT Rams, but I really do like Coach McVay. You look at his stuff and what he's done. Obviously being a young head coach, he's definitely a role model. But you look at the culture, man, the culture he's created there, and you know the impact he's had immediately leading that group, and you know the way he ties the guys in, and really has built a great culture, and you could see the way they play and the way they talk about each other. It's one big unit, and that's something that I preach to our guys is we got to play as one unit every time we go out there. We'll practice, in the classroom, whatever we do, but we're all in it together. But pulling for McVay, pulling for the Rams, so we'll see what happens.
I want Burrow to win so badly. I want to see the Bengals win because I just remember those Ickey Woods teams back. Chris, you remember that?
You're talking to diehard Houston Oilers fans. So those
yeah, that AFC side. Oh my God. Yeah. So I want to see Matt Stafford get a ring. He was on all those horrible Detroit Lions teams. He saved them. He single-handedly with all those receivers and no defense. Stafford is a guy that it needs more respect to his name, so to speak. And I think
it would be cool that LA wins in their home stadium. I mean, how cool is that?
Can you believe that? I think is that back-to-back years they played at a home? Yeah. I think, that's crazy. Now that would be cool. I don't even know if LA would care. I don't know if they care about sports anymore in LA, but I agree with you. That would be really cool to see Stafford and the Rams win it at home. Now we want to finish things because we're all about this. When this podcast started, it was all audio, and it was during the pandemic, and everybody needed some form of positivity in their lives. And this is how we're going to end it with this segment right here.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Tell me something good. That is the voice of Mike Harge's son. He is a talented voice, that is. This is sponsored by Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. Tell me something good. We'll go back the other way. Chase, tell me something good that's happening in your world or the world around you.
Man, so obviously the opportunity, I've had the past few months, officially starting beginning of January to coach and, lead a team and, try to rebuild a group and get this program off to a good start and, make a brand and represent the city of Austin. It's been huge, and I'm grateful for the connections I've made thus far, and obviously having the Express right down the road is a huge help. But tomorrow I actually have the chance of going on my first recruiting trip to Eastfield College, and so that was where I played my sophomore year of college, and it was also the school I was at during my mom's battle with cancer. And so I get to see my former coach who inspired me to be a head coach, and to relate that and come full circle. It's huge. And so I'm looking forward to seeing him. And then this Saturday I'm headed to one of my best friend's weddings. He was a teammate at Eastfield. And it's crazy, the game of baseball and the people you meet. But to see those two guys that helped me through a extremely rough time in my life, and to see Coach Martin on a totally different side, on the recruiting side, and get to see him and talk to him, and then the wedding on Saturday, to see my best friend get married is huge, and those guys helped me through a lot, and so I'm excited about these upcoming few days.
Man, I'm excited for you. That is something good. Chris, tell me something good in your world.
Look, we're playing baseball. That's good. Round Rock Express, the lockout has no bearing on the Round Rock Express. We're going to open up Tuesday, April 5th and play baseball. But look, I want to circle back to something you mentioned a while ago. You started this podcast during the pandemic, and look, congratulations to you going strong for 2 years, but you had me on one of the first episodes. And I remember I was doing it from my apartment and I was building my house I'm in currently. But one of the things we talked about was, look, people, little did I know, but back then we would be on lockdown for 2 years. But, I talked about, on that drive home, reach out to people, call your old coach, call your best friend, check on people. Because look, God created us to be in communion and be in relationships. And, we're people, we need the touch, we need to talk, we need to be around people. And so, I remember talking about that and just saying, on your way home, pick 3 friends that you haven't talked to and just call and check on them. Text them, do something. Hey man, I'm thinking of you. And I think we need that more than anything. And I think that was one of the things I tried to do during the pandemic. But look, we've had a lot of great news in the last part of the year. I got engaged to my fiance Lindsay, and we're going to get through the baseball season and find a date. And look, these 2 guys are grown men, and they're a spot that they're going to grow our family. And I've got to figure out, the next chapter of my life. And so I'm excited about that. We got engaged in mid November. And then of course that we got the news from Chase. We knew around Thanksgiving, and they didn't announce it till a couple of weeks later, but look, an opportunity for him to run his own program and something that he was very passionate about. And, credit to JJ Gotch, our COO, and Tim Jackson. They were the ones that pushed him to make the connections with Dr. Carroll and Huston-Tillotson and got his foot in the door, and he did everything else, like you said. And so, and then of course, what Luke's done. Luke's had a great baseball career, but he's still involved in working with the University of Houston, their program. And there's, the game of baseball playing is one thing, but there's a lot of different things you can do to be a part of this great game. And like I said, to start this thing, we're just excited to play baseball and get into a year. I'm hoping we're not doing the COVID spit test that Jason had to do every 4 days last year, and where we wore these little contact tracers. I had it on my ankle. I felt like I was on house arrest at Dell Diamond for the season. So we're just excited, man. I'm excited for the Facing Nolan. We're gonna fly out to spring training come March 19th and spend a couple of days out there, and then we'll get back and get ready for the season. So just a lot of exciting things.
I love it. I'm inspired already. Seriously. Luke,
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up. 2 things. Yeah, the Cougs, not this weekend, but the next. We open up in Arizona at Talking Stick. We open up with Cal, San Diego State, and TCU. So it's super pumped. Our guys are getting ready, and it's good being on the sideline, getting to watch those guys and being in the dugout. And the second thing finishing this up is, I guess, appreciation, Sean. It's good being able to see my brother and my dad on this. We're all busy and doing our own thing. So being able to sit here and see their faces and talk while I'm in Houston, Chase is back in Austin, so is my dad. We're all kind of different areas. It's good. And I think you're just as a part of this baseball family, like my dad says a lot. And it's true. It shows through this. And so, yeah, it's much appreciation of, things that come our way, good or bad. And it's appreciating those things because, one, you can learn from it or you can run with it. So, again, thank you. And it's great being able to see my family and have been able to hop on this call.
Man, I appreciate you guys. And that's one thing that, the journey, which brought me back home after 20 years. And I know I've mentioned it a lot, but it's the truth. The one thing about it has circled across my paths with people like yourselves. And I spent a lot of time. I've noticed I spent a lot more time around the baseball scene more than I ever have in my life, even though I've gravitated to it. But Chase, you were there last weekend. I thought that was beautiful. The honoring of Willie Wells at Anderson High School. And there's been nothing but text and phone calls all this week about that. All right, well, who are we going to honor next? Who's, as we merge and continue to integrate society. And then people say, well, integrate. Yeah. we're still integrating on many levels. And it's a beautiful thing when we see that and people understand it. And one thing Chris talked about when we opened this podcast back in 20 was, obviously contact people, but listen to understand and listen to understand people. And man, you guys are like family. There's no doubt. And man, I can't thank you guys enough for making the time. And as we'll probably collaborate on some other type of project related to the stories inside the Man Cave platform. Man, I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us, man. We look forward to seeing you at the baseball field. Love you too, guys. Hey, you get a big round of applause because you kept us on an hour-long call for the first time on the road.
No, you kept these two guys on an hour-long call. Gosh.
I can't believe that. We did it. We did it. I want to put it on my resume. I kept the Almendarez boys for an hour. I didn't anticipate that. But, yeah.
It's always good to talk, man. Talk baseball and talk these guys and talk life. So appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
That's how we can help you out.
Much love to Chase, Chris, and Luke, the Almendarez boys, and to the Man Cave OG boys. That is Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harge. We are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.